So here is the entire basement. We'll start with this briefly, just kind of show how the whole thing lays out. Come down from upstairs, and this is basically a family area. It's finished, carpeted. Have a nice large TV. This is actually an L-shaped sofa here, a treadmill, a small refrigerator, some storage closets for the few toys and other knickknacks we have left over. There's a door here that comes back into the mechanical room, furnace, hot water heater, some storage for Christmas decorations and whatnot that are stored back there. Access the main layout room through a door here, which goes in, and this is the workshop. And this is our track off the branch line that we use for, bad odor cars, working on cars and everything like that. This is the main workbench area, shelving, storage, and whatnot. To get into the layout, in this area here is currently I'll call it a lift out section. It's not easily lifted out. I mean, you could lift it out, but it's not a hinged section, which I'd like to get to, because now Steve and I crawl underneath. I'd like to make it some type of swinging gate. So, for example, if my mother ever came here, who is, to be honest, not going to crawl underneath, I could still open it up and let her come in and ooh and ah back in the layout room. So for right now, it's a duck under, let's call it. So this whole side of the basement here is the layout. There is an area back here that is the main electrical panel for the house. There's a radon fan and some storage and whatnot, but not a lot. This section of the layout here, the bench work, I made it so I could remove it if I had to gain access into that area. Right now, I just crawl underneath if I need to. I very rarely need to go back there, but there is access by crawling, or worst case, if something bad happened, I can remove a chunk of layout so you can access that area. So then this whole side is then the layout, and you notice kind of the odd shape here. That's because up above here is our garage. And I guess the standard is you don't have your basement under your garage, which I wish I would have given me a lot extra room. But this is the shape of it. We have a nice little area up here in the main garage where we have a storage shelf and it can store some, lawn equipment and sleds and all that kind of good stuff. And then the main two-car garage is basically right here. So that's the overall room. Let's take a look at the layout itself. And the concept that we decided to go with consciously was more of we're going to have a layout that it's double track mainline with some crossovers at, control points, not single track. I don't feel that most of us have enough layout to really, really warrant a single track mainline with passing sidings. Others can disagree, but if you're going to do that and be able to run trains, you need a lot of room. And we just don't have, it's a big layout, no doubt, but we don't have that kind of room. So we decided to go with double track so you could let trains run and enjoy watching them run, because we really enjoy scenery and detailing the layout. This area here, which is Eugene Yard, is, in all honesty, visible staging. I tried to come up with a way to make it hidden. I couldn't make it work. I don't claim to be the world's best track planner. It was just too much. It would have looked so unrealistic, and I couldn't figure it out. I did not want to go to a double deck, a two-layer layout. I just don't like those. I don't like the way they look. To me, I know it gets you a lot more main line. I get all that, but I just don't like the way they look overall. It's just too stuffed, too much going on, and we didn't want that. So we consciously decided to make this area basically visible staging, with several yard tracks on one side of the main line and an intermodal yard on the other side. There's that area here, which is our locomotive facility, which is basically staging for the locomotives. It's a place to put them. It will have most likely an engine shed at some point in time, and some light facilities for fuel, sand, and whatnot, just to make it look scenic. But really, it's a place to put all our darn engines. The other end here does have 4 tracks that were started out as storage, but I might make 2 of them into an industry. Put some large type industry in here where they can get loads of covered hoppers or tank cars or something to give us some operational variety over here. But again, it's not set up perfectly. I know we do not have the appropriate yard leads for doing switching in the yard without fouling the main line. I get it. We're not too worried about that. So that's basically visible staging. The main command station for the DCC systems is here as well in the programming track. And the one area I don't really show here is we did add an actual track off of this. This is actually it is a switching lead for the intermodal yard. We added a little switch to come off here for the command station programming track. So you leave Eugene Yard, visible staging. This area here is the scene where it's going to be the pond. This is going to be the Central Valley double track bridge. You proceed around. Again, this area now has a tunnel. It's because it was so close I couldn't figure out how to scenic it. So Steve wanted a tunnel, so we added a tunnel. So roughly, here to here is now in tunnel. You come out into Wallace Junction, which is very loosely based on the real Wallace Junction on the Norfolk Southern Railroad in Girard, Pennsylvania. It does have the branch line, which comes in, which in the real world is the CN Bessemer Lake Erie that runs up from Albion. That does come in, so we have a little bit of a operational thing. We could bring a local out, Bessemer engines. We like the Bessemer, so we could have some orange stuff here before it all fades to Illinois Central or CN. But anyway, so we do that, and this is also access back to the workbench for rolling stock locomotives and whatnot. This little siding track does exist in the real Wallace Junction. It's actually double-ended, but we just have a single side, and they bring in gravel. It looks like they transload gravel at that facility, so we'll do something like that as well. And there's a little facility there where Norfolk Southern has, I guess, a maintenance crew or some track gangs that work out of there. There's a lot of NS trucks and a couple trailers for offices, so we'll duplicate that. And it comes around the peninsula, upgrade here into what we're calling Lake City, again based very loosely on the real Lake City, Pennsylvania. We will model probably scratch build the all-aboard diner where we enjoy eating, right by the main line. Kind of similarly, there's actually more tracks here that really aren't used. There's no actual industries that get rail service anymore, but on the layout we're going to, they have a real cool looking, I don't know if it's a feed, grain industry there. It's a really neat looking, got a lot of real ambiance around it, so we're going to probably scratch build that as well. And our layout, we'll bring covered hoppers in for that. Do something on this end, again, just to give us a spot for 2 cars when the local comes into town. There's some neat industries there, not served by rail right now, but we'll do something there. Come around here. Here's the new underpass area. That was the subject of the most recent videos that we did. We added that underpass. So this area is much more scenic. Comes around again to the lift out area. Then we come into CP97, again based very loosely on the CP97 on the CSX Railroad in Fairview, Pennsylvania. And this is the little Fairview drill track or team track, whatever you want to call it, where west of here on the main real railroad, there's a wheel impact detector. And very, very often there's quite a few cars that are sitting here and they change out wheels. So we decided to go ahead and model that. And there's kind of some open country run in here. Then you come into what's going to be again, very loose model of the GE transformer factory at Pittsfield, Massachusetts. That's what we're calling it. It's just going to be a transformer factory. I work for GE. I work in the transformer side of the transformer repair side of our business. So I'm very familiar with power transformers and other apparatus. So I'm going to make a nice little simulation of a transformer factory that can get, have a couple Schnabel cars and get some of the depressed loads and other various tank cars for the transformer oil and whatnot. Just an area I decided to do that. Then out of there's another control point here, double crossover, set of crossovers here. And we didn't go with double crossovers because very rarely do you see them on the prototype. Almost every interlocking I've seen, at least around us, has got, single sets of crossovers. Then just back around the end of the layout and you're back into Eugene Yard. So pretty simple overall. Like I said, it's just basically an area for visible staging, double track main line where you can just kind of run around a nice little loop. There's a couple areas for switching. You can have a local come out and switch Wallace and Lake City, and then another local perhaps could come over and drop off cars for the factory, and then have a small GE switcher that would work in the factory. So there's enough to keep you busy. And then you could be running, a train or two on the main line. And again, our main thrust, this was consciously decided that we wanted visible staging and we didn't want it cluttered up with all kinds of track, and to us, track over track, crossing track, and trying to jam as much track as possible in just is not realistic. We just didn't want that. That's not what we wanted to go for. We wanted to go for more, like I said, we're going to rail fan the layout, scenic it, take the scenery to a nice, very high detailed level, still be able to run trains, have some operation with locals, but that was the conscious decision that we made. So, that being said, let's pause this here. Let's go down to the layout itself, take a look. We'll start here in Eugene Yard, and we'll kind of follow the same sequence around and just kind of show you the areas on the layout. They're all in kind of various levels of completion. This area's a mess, but we'll show you anyway, and so you get a good view of the layout itself. So that was again the overall concept. Visible staging, not necessarily a prototypical yard, double track main line for ease of running various trains, not a lot of extra trackage. We wanted it more scenery based, but a couple areas where we could have some local traffic for a branch line train coming out, and then a nice scene that's going to be a real detailed scene of a factory that'll provide some additional operational opportunities. All right, let's go take a look at the real layout itself. All right, so like I said, you come down the stairs here. This is our little family area. It's a fridge, treadmill, nice TV, little L-shaped sectional carpeted, nice area, I like it over here. Then, through the door, ta-da, into the layout room, like I said, and you also come right into the workbench, which is a mess, so I won't show a lot of it, but it's a nice work area. It really is a mess. That's the shelf, like I said, that we use. It's not really meant for an accumulation of junk, but that's kind of what it is now. But that's the branch line, and then we'll start the tour. We'll go over to Eugene, and we'll start the tour like we did with the track plan. Alright, so we'll start, like I said, at this end here. This is the open storage for locomotives. Right now they're just kind of all set in there. It will at some point, probably over 2 or 3 of the tracks, have a diesel house. One track will be for just outdoor storage, or 2. I'm not really sure yet how we're gonna totally do it, but that's just for locomotives, and they are all set so they can physically be off. So when you turn the layout on, you don't have 15 sound equipped locomotives all kicking off at once. And then the main yard area, visible staging area, the interlocking at the one end. There's a little bit of a lead there on this side to switch the intermodal facility. That's what I think we're going to do. So again, this is all just open air storage, staging, so to speak, with a kind of a 2-track intermodal yard. There's the area that kind of sticks out because of the main drain for the house. There's the area again with the 4 tracks. Right now just storage. But the 2 tracks here, I'd like to put some type of industry back, because again, one of these episodes I should probably do a mistakes or lessons learned, but the backdrop isn't quite right in here, so I might put an industry either with some some 3D flats or something to put a big industry along there for those 2 tracks, and maybe leave these other 2 for storage. I'm not sure. So that's, like I said, the visible staging yard to the right, intermodal facility to the left, and again the main DCC system, the command station for the easy DCC system, which has worked well for me. I have no complaints about it whatsoever. It's been a good system. Just pretty much hooked it up, turned it on, and it worked. Just FYI, the boosters are all sitting on a shelf here. There's 3 boosters. The layout is divided into basically 3 power districts, one being the area here at Eugene, and then one being basically from the end there, from this interlocking up around the peninsula over to the lift out area we'll get to, which is over there, and the 3rd area being around the back here, the factory, including the engine facility back in there. So 3 power districts. Alright, so I start out from here. So we come across the scene that's going to be the Central Valley double track bridge. I'm still working on. If you're following those on the Bennett extra section channel, but we're going to get there. This will be a pond area. Area here where folks can come in and do some fishing and all that kind of good stuff. Comes around here. Here's the area I mentioned that is now the tunnel and filled in for the access back to the main electrical panel. And this top section comes out, and the bench work here can actually come out. I had to pull off these two 45s, but I could take the whole bench work out of there if I really, really had to. It comes around into Wallace Junction, and then the branch line again heads back and over to the shelf in the workshop. And that's how we'll bring new locomotives out, rolling stock, and also use it for some operational type stuff for local coming out. On the left there is the siding for the, probably going to be like a gravel transfer area. And then back in this area here will be kind of the NS, or a facility where they'll have trucks and backhoes and a couple trailers for offices, and it's a maintenance type facility based out of there. Come across our old single lane bridge up around the peninsula. And this is all coming upgrade, not seriously, but it is upgrade. Into this area here, added just a little bit of a scenic area there. That signal bridge is actually a model of the signal bridge at QD 103, the intermediate signals on the CSX. It's not perfect for reasons I won't go into, because it's actually an approach to a control point on both sides, so it shouldn't be a single signal, but that's okay. I can live with it. This here will be Lake City, right about where these two containers are. Again, it's kind of a mess. Will kind of be, well, actually maybe more down where the funnel and the Monster Model Works dirt is will be the station, the old train station, which is now the All Aboard Diner. The two industrial tracks here will have, I'm going to say this road will have crossing gates. I'd actually get gates that actually go down for the road and for the backside. That's the way it is on the prototype, but I need to see if I can figure that out. So again, this little siding here, this will be the one building that I really kind of like, that will maybe get covered hoppers in. Not totally sure again what I'll do at this end. Something right now, it's got all kinds of scenery and glues and ground foam and other good stuff and tools there. It's going to be out this far. This piece right now is off, so we can get access to do some work. But this will also be scenic, part of the town, and here. And it comes around. This is the area. This is just the areas that I've showed before. The new underpass that we added in. And this area here, with the field, is not done yet. I need to do some more touch up on the ballast and weathering the track and stuff, or the ballast. But there's that area. Then again, this is the area right here that is now removable. I can take it up and move it out. This track's just sitting here, and it's got loose joiners on it, so I can slide it and bring it out. But I want to do something different to make it ideally something that would swing, so I could access the area. And I like to keep it full width. What I struggle with, so it'd be pretty simple if I kept it real narrow, but I'd like to actually model this area here. Like I said, the road comes down here. That road actually does exist going up to CP97, and it meets in with Route 98, which goes underneath the railroad. I'd like to model that, so I'd like to keep it this wide. I'm just kind of struggling with how I make that swing, but all right, more to come on that. This is CP97, or the modeled version of it. Again, similar to what exists here is the kind of the drill track that comes out where cars are set off that hit the wheel impact detector, and they do have a little tiny shed, and which I'll probably try to model, and they have a place here where there's some heavy-duty wood planks where they actually, I think they jack the cars up and change out wheels and trucks and whatnot, because there are actually some wheels that sit up here. And this is the actual interlocking here at CP97, and it comes around here.
This is all just kind of open field, kind of model around where we live, but there's not a whole lot of room, so it'll be kind of maybe just a trail along there and some just kind of scenery. Then I got to bring it into here, which I really don't like the way I did the backdrop in here. This is definitely one of the issues that I'm having, how I'm going to model this. It's just way too steep. I should have brought the backdrop all the way down. Again, more to come on that. This gets into Pittsfield here. Again, this is the factory. Now it's kind of a mess, but this whole area is going to be a large transformer factory. Now it's got all kinds of ready equipment, SBB, Swiss locomotives that I've been running, just all kinds of stuff. And it's going to be, the whole scene will be factory. Going to make it real detailed, take my time on it. It'll probably be a year or so at least till I get all this area even, partially completed. This will be the main assembly building where the main finished transformers come out. This will be a tank shop, weld fab area that feeds into the main assembly building. I'm going to keep the area there in the back, which I apologize is not cluttered up with boxes, but keep that, as an access hatch to get in there. And some of that, like I said, might be the abandoned, some torn down buildings that were torn down over time. And over here will probably be, I put an oil storage and some shop stores where you can bring some box cars in. And there's a rather long siding that comes off the main line here, so you can actually pull a local in there and do some work without fouling the main. And a track here for picking up transformers or dropping cars off, and then the little GE locomotive, plant locomotive, which will probably sit in here. I have a small Pike stuff engine house I'll put there. Not the Pan Am box car, but it'll probably sit there. Then he can take over and shuttle cars around the plant. Then again, I guess I apologize for all the foam, but it comes back around the end here, and you're back. You're back at Eugene. So it's again pretty simple, not real complicated to be sure, but that's the way we wanted it. Again, that's the way we planned it. That's the way we made some conscious decisions. Again, at one point I tried to get some hidden staging underneath here. Just could not figure out, without doing all kinds of crazy stuff, how to get the main line under there and make it look right and not have a huge grade, and just decided, you know what, forget it, it's going to make it invisible. So that is all that. And again, it's got an easy DCC control system, which, contrary to some viewers' comments, I found to be absolutely no problem whatsoever. I like it. Got some wireless throttles, main on-off power. Again, some other folks have commented I've never had an issue turning everything on with one switch. One switch turns basically the main controls on, and a lot of the CMR, and the one computer power supply here is on one switch. The other switch turns on the other one, which is located underneath the layout. Back there, that's the second power supply. That basically powers, the back half, and I had a separate one because there'll be a lot of lights and stuff going on here in the factory. So I have its own power supply for that. And then a lot of the CMRI items. I mean, I have a whole playlist on that, but just it basically runs out from the computer. And again, I got scenery stuff, but that's the first S Mini module there with the block detectors, and the input and outputs come into that. And that runs from the computer, which sits right over there through an RS-45. It just runs to that. That's the first node. From there, it runs over to the second node, which is underneath Eugene. That's a Sussex node there with several different cards in the motherboard. And then it runs around finally to the third, which is under Pittsfield. And that's another S Mini node. So I'm not going to go into that in real detail. There's a lot of other videos in the CMRI/signaling playlist that covers a lot of that. So that's pretty much it. We tried to keep the aisles fairly wide, pretty comfortable. The narrowest spot will be right here, and that's just because we wanted to be able to get some, enough room to have track, and really should have probably scooched down the peninsula a little bit, but if you want to have room for some type of, like I said, for Wallace Junction here and then Lake City up there, I needed the room to actually be able to do something. So that's pretty much it. That's the overview of the entire layout. You can kind of see it all from this little back corner here. From the hidden staging around behind me, up around the peninsula, through a town, through some open scenery with a field, through CP97, up around the wall, up into Pittsfield to the factory, and then back around. That's it. Simple. I've avoided as much as possible the urge to add more track. For example, the one area that with this siding here, I think a lot of us would have been tempted to bring it around here and put more buildings or industries or something. I was like, nope, not going to do it. Stop. Don't. You don't want to do that. I don't like the way, I shouldn't say that. It sounds, I know it sounds arrogant, but I don't like a lot of the layouts. It just seemed to have every square foot of layout filled with track and buildings, and that's just not what we're after. If that's what you like, that's cool, but we don't want that. We want it to be more scenic. I mean, there'll be very, very few structures, outside of here and the factory. Some in the yard, of course. Some houses maybe here. This is all going to be scenic, all scenery. Most of this will be scenery. Obviously along the wall you can't do a lot, so that's all going to be scenery. And this back in here is all scenery. No structures, no additional track, no sidings. This will probably be another big farm field here to kind of tie into the farm that's there in the backdrop. So this can be all kind of this guy's field, or part of it, up there. So and that's it. So again, that was a conscious decision that we want it to be a lot more scenic and not jammed. Like I said, I didn't want to do a double layer. I know a lot of guys have double deck layouts, and we certainly could have. I mean, I probably could have fit a helix at one end and done it. I just don't like it. Personally, that's a personal decision. Nothing at all against people that do have those type of layouts. It's just not what we're into. I'd rather have it like this and be able to have the access, and to me it just looks a lot cleaner. But if you're in operation and you want the maximum main line, I totally understand why you might go for that. So there it is. So that's the tour, but with the track plan and the physical. And again, it's kind of a mess right now because we're trying to get a lot of work done, but hopefully it kind of gave you an idea what we're trying to accomplish down here and why we did some of the things we did and why it is just a simple, basically double track loop. But it was a conscious call on our part while we did it that way. So that is it. Hope you enjoyed the tour. Anything else in particular you'd like to see, just let us know. We've done a lot of different stuff in the 60 some odd videos, but there are a lot of newer subscribers, and by the way, thank you very much. We do appreciate you subscribing and enjoy having you along. But if there's something in particular you'd like to see, to let us know. Because sometimes with my travel I don't have a lot of time to get a lot of work done, but I can do videos such as this. And like I said, I might do one in the near future that kind of covers some of the lessons learned, things I wish I did differently, mistakes that we made, just for those that might be starting out, just to hear. Again, it's only a model railroad, so it's not the end of the world. The sun's going to come up tomorrow. But there are some things I wish that I had done differently. Even though it's our second layout and I swore I was not going to make that mistake, there are some things that if I could do it again, I would do things differently, which I think all of us have that on our layouts. So again, enough babbling. Thank you very much for watching. Again, thanks all for subscribing. Anything you'd like to see, let us know in the comments. And if we can film some things that might help folks in their model railroading endeavors, let us know. Love to help out.